Welcome to NWMO Roadway Safety Live, a podcast brought to you by the Northwest Missouri Roadway Safety Program and the Northwest Missouri Regional Council of Governments. Hi everyone, I'm your host, Peyton Bell, and in every episode of this podcast, we will share insights and stories that we hope empower you to make safer choices on the roads. Today's episode is all about getting to know the Northwest Missouri Roadway Safety Program and who we serve. So now let's dive into today's podcast. Today I am here with my coworker Christy Pierce. Christy, if you would like, please tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, as you said, I'm Christy, and I'm a community planner for the Northwest Missouri Regional Council of Governments. And basically, what it means to be a community planner, a condensed definition would be to help make our communities happier and safer for all of our participants. One way that we seek to do that is through our roadway safety program.
So, our roadway safety program serves a 5 county area, which is Atchison, Holt, Gentry, Worth, and Nottoway. And our program's main mission is to educate individuals about safe driving habits with the goal of reducing roadway fatalities to zero. Within our program, our roadway safety program does a lot of outreach through schools and communities, and we do this by informational booths, presentations, seatbelt checks, and a lot more. So, with our roadway safety program, we have our big division, which is called SHIFT. And SHIFT is our teen division, and SHIFT stands for Safe Habits Integrated for Teens. With SHIFT, we are hoping to really target teens and have them be more vocal about being safe on roadways. And one way we are doing that is by our SHIFT advisory team. And our SHIFT advisory team is full of students that go to school in our 5 county area, and we just kind of hope for them to give us insights on what target areas the schools need to focus on, and that way we know what presentations to give the students. We also like having the students kind of tell us what trends are going on social media. And then also, they're our big hands when it comes to big events in their area. And we just kind of rely on them to help us in any way to improve our program. Going on to what else we do in our program, we give presentations to schools, obviously in our 5 county area. And last semester, Christy and I actually gave presentations at 2 schools. And Christy, do you kind of want to talk about what presentations we gave this semester?
We give a variety of presentations: winter driving safety, ATV and UTV safety, which is not my area of expertise, but that's a newly developed presentation that Peyton put together, and it's very much needed in this area because you'll see that kind of vehicle use pretty much everywhere. Um, and those are just a couple of examples of what we like to bring to the schools to help prep students to prepare for the road conditions that they don't think about maybe in advance, and we're doing that job of helping them do that and be prepared and to help them make safe decisions.
With our presentations this year, we kind of went a new way about it. We gave obviously presentations for the first 45 minutes roughly, and then we started to do little activities with the students for the last 15 minutes that we were with them. I just think that those little activities that we do with the students kind of brings all of our concepts that we gave in that presentation and puts them in a hands-on event or activity. That way they can actually take that knowledge and remember it more than just listening for 15 or for 45 minutes.
One of the things that I used at Stanberry was a driving distracted holiday edition. And basically, what we did with that particular activity was after the distracted driving presentation, I came up with some fun holiday themed obstacles to put in their roadway, and then asked them to respond to text messages on a fake little phone that I made, which it was just a box of staples that I wrapped, and I asked them to hold our steering wheel, and then figure out how were they going to navigate the distractions of the road that we had made, random packages that I had wrapped, just little holiday ornaments or things, that we just tossed along the path between our cones where they had to go from the starting point to the ending point. And they had a blast doing it. Some of the text messages were things like, Mom wants to know what's for dinner tonight. What do you want to eat? And, they had to say out loud, and they tripped over things. Inevitably, they tripped over things trying to figure out how to respond to these fake text messages and the other student that was reading to them. So it was just a little way to bring the learning experience full circle. I've heard a teacher say before that learning is caught and not taught. And I feel like those hands-on opportunities really solidify what we're trying to drive home.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I really like doing those, and I think it's a fun way to get the students up and moving and kind of like bond with us a little bit more. That way, we're not just strangers coming into the classroom every month. Um, I definitely, when I did that game with Worth County last semester, it was a lot of fun. They got to like kind of make it personal to those students, and they had a lot of fun with it. So I definitely think that going forward, we will always keep these little activities in our presentations. Um, Kind of our pre and post thing that we do with the schools when they participate in our program is we do seatbelt checks. And these seatbelt checks kind of gauge how well our program is working with this a school. And so we did three this beginning of the school year, and Christy was able to go with me for one, and then I did two other schools, and it was really interesting to see the statistics between each school. Just our first one did not go the greatest, and then my second one was shocking with how well the numbers were, and then my last one was kind of just in between there. And so it's just crazy to see the different numbers in each school.
I do agree. Shocking was a very good word to describe the experience when we went to our first school that we did together. The other two, Peyton was on her own. But for this particular school, as we counted parent after parent and student after student not wearing a seatbelt, it was just, my mind was blown completely that that's kind of, it seemed to be the culture of that environment. And it also gave us a purpose in what is it we're doing here. We're trying to help them understand the implications of that choice, and they have to understand that it is a choice and it's not one that they have to keep making, that they can make a better choice.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Our last thing that we allow schools to participate in or join us in is we provide the schools with a hands-on event day. So this is bringing in our different gadgets and tools that schools can use. We partner with the Northwest Missouri Roadway Safety Coalition, and they allow us to borrow some of these gadgets like a rollover cart, driving simulator, seatbelt convincer, which Christy likes. We both think that the seatbelt convincer is like very cool in my opinion. It allows you to see kind of what happens with your body with crashing, stopping at a higher speed, and with a seatbelt on. And so I actually tried out the seatbelt convincer in September I talked with the highway patrol officer that brought it, and I was talking with him, and he said that the highest the seatbelt convincer can go is 5 miles per hour. And I was like, okay, like getting on it, I was like, it's not going to be that bad. Like, there's no way my body can really move that much going at 5 miles per hour. And so I got on it, I buckled up, and he let the seatbelt convincer go. And when the seatbelt or when the seat stopped, my body actually went kind of far forward. I was not expecting, like, with the seatbelt on, like how far your body still can move. And it just, after that experience, I could not believe how or what it would be like if I got in a car accident or stopped really fastly, like 65 miles per hour is what Missouri highways are around us, and I just could not picture what would happen to my body if that were to happen. And like it really shows the importance of wearing a seatbelt, because just imagining where my body could go if I didn't have one on, like crashing at that high of a speed, is just kind of crazy to me. But yeah, so we bring all those tools to schools, and um, we allow them to rotate through these different stations so that each student is able to get their hands on these gadgets so that they actually can take in the repercussions of not making safe choices behind the wheel, because that's our goal, is making sure that they're making safe choices. And so we're really hoping to get into the schools this spring and put some of those on, because in my opinion those are really what, like, I'm a person that seeing it rather than hearing it. And so being able to see those repercussions in action without someone losing their life is very impactful.
I need to go back to the seatbelt convincer because Peyton explained her experience, but she didn't explain my experience with it. And mine was on the receiving end of watching that. And also, I have footage in slow mo. If anybody wants to see that, it's actually kind of hilarious. But it's also not hilarious. It's very sobering because the seatbelt convincer does live up to its name. It should convince anybody who steps foot on that machine to wear your seatbelt. And that's the goal of what we do with these hands-on events and these mechanisms, is so that people can experience as close as the real thing as possible. And obviously we know it's not real, it's not an actual crash, but so that when we're in the environment of driving, that we will buckle up, we will put our phones down, we'll make all of those right choices. And especially our teens who are also trying to process being a new driver and being behind the wheel for some of the first times ever.
Yeah, no, I agree with Christy. Those hands-on event days are very impactful. So when we aren't able to see the students, obviously during the summer, we this past summer started going out to community events, and we bring a lot of informational stuff. We have different pamphlets for pedestrian, bus, drinking and driving, a lot. And so we obviously have these booths at community events with informational stuff, but we also do bring our activities. We bring our drunk goggles or impaired goggles, and we have community members do little sobriety tests with them, different little tests to kind of show what it's like being impaired without actually being impaired, and then what that state is like behind the wheel. And I just think those are another great experience for people to experience. That way, they're not putting themselves or others in harm while being impaired and behind the wheel. And Christy, do you have like any stories you would like to share about what these community events are like?
Yes. One of the things that it gives us the opportunity to do is, of course, all those free information pamphlets that we have can be great segues into conversation starters. And so we get to talk with people and just, let them share their point of view and their stories. And also, it gives us a chance to move just outside of only teen interaction, but also include adults. And one of the things that's most shocking to adult drivers is when they find out about the drowsy driving, where basically, adults are kind of a culture of tired. They're moving from one thing to the next. They're trying to, provide for their families, and sometimes that means you're on the road late hours, trying to go from one activity from work or whatever it may be. But one of the things that I learned about the drowsy goggle situation and that experience is you can blow a positive blood alcohol content level of 0.05 with 17 to 19 hours sleep deprived. So the average person maybe doesn't do that. But say if you have your shift workers or, somebody who's like, "Oh, I have a big day and I had all these things to do and now I'm going to an event afterward for my kids." And for them to have that surprise that like I can blow a blood alcohol content that's positive just from not getting enough sleep, they're really floored by that. And so I just think that that's an important thing to note, and it works for everybody. If you're a teen, if you're an adult, either way. But those are the stories that I hear from adults, which is a different audience, that they're surprised that you don't actually have to be impaired by a substance to have that kind of influence over your driving.
Yeah, I really like those community events because, yes, we want to see our teens during the summer to keep informing them about making safe driving habits. It's also nice to see kind of the older demographic or maybe even the really young kids because they are also interested in our impaired goggles. And yeah, I just really enjoy being able to go out to our communities because not only do we get to inform them on, making safe driving habits, but also inform them of all the things that we provide, not just teens, but also adults. And that kind of leads into our next thing that we're going to talk about, which is our more of presentations for the community rather than the schools. And we give two of those presentations. They are called First Impact and Keep Your Keys. And I know Christy kind of brought quite a bit of information on the first impact presentation, and those are our presentations that we give to parents and teens. And so I'm going to let Christy kind of talk about that.
Yes, the first impact, it actually hits home for me personally because I have young drivers in my household. And basically, what this first impact deals with is the graduated driver's license. And maybe both parents and teens are saying, "What is that?" Because, I was unaware of what it was until I became an employee here. um, so basically, with the first impact, we educate on that, and there are different stages that a new driver has. So you get your permit, then you take your road test, and that's when you have your graduated driver's license. And as you're driving on that graduated driver's license, there's a couple of things that I just thought I would hit some highlights that people just don't know about new drivers and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. Um, no more than one passenger who is not family should be in the car with a new driver on a GDL, or graduated driver's license, for the first 6 months. A lot of people didn't know that. I didn't know that. Um, no driving between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. except for emergencies and work. And you do need to be prepared to provide proof to law enforcement if that's the case for you. So those are just a couple of highlights that you'll take away from this valuable course that we are actually trying to just really spread out through our region so that more people can be educated on this. And we'll have law enforcement officers come in, and then they'll educate you on the proper way to handle a traffic stop. You'll have insurance agents come out that just talk about some of the implications of what it means to have a GDL uh, uh, teen, basically one possessing that GDL, and the insurance requirements and implications that are more for those types of drivers. And that's just a wealth of knowledge for both the teen and the parent. And at the end, you close it out with a contract that you make an agreement between the teen and the parents that you'll abide by certain rules and guidelines that keeps everyone safe.
Yeah, I really like that presentation because a lot of parents do not know about the GDL license and what all comes with that. And we also partner with law enforcement on that presentation. That way, they can answer more of the law enforcement questions that we are not super informed on. Our second presentation that we give to the community is it's called Keep Your Keys. Keep Your Keys is our presentation that is geared toward older drivers, and that's um, the age is 55 and older. Uh oh, what, Christy?
We say mature drivers,
I'm sorry.
please.
Yes,
Yes.
mature drivers. Um, this presentation kind of talks with them about new tips and new roadways that they might navigate and kind of ways to keep themselves and others safer on those roads. And the presentation also prepares older, mature drivers. Sorry. Um, it prepares mature drivers with a retirement plan for transportation because you obviously don't know when the time is going to come for you to not drive anymore. So this presentation really helps with that and kind of prepares you that there is going to be a day that you can't drive anymore. And so it's really nice to have that transportation plan in place in case something were to happen. So we actually gave this presentation in all of our 5 counties recently. Our other person on our team, Heather, she gave presentations in all of our 5 counties, and we are hoping to continue that and keep giving presentations because it is very helpful for older drivers. And our last big thing that our roadway safety program has is Christy is a car seat technician. And so, Christy, would you like to talk to us about that?
Sure. So the thing about becoming a car seat tech, it was actually a pretty sobering moment for me as a parent. Um, Thankfully, not thankfully, just the stage of life that I am in now, I don't have children in car seats. However, the sobering part comes in where, as I'm getting this education, which took quite a bit of effort, it takes a lot to become a car seat technician certified. Um, but I began to learn things that I was doing incorrectly as a parent, and as I was buckling my own children in, and things that I did not know. And that's the point. Is I think that there are parents everywhere right now who are accidentally ignorant, and I don't want to say that word mean. It's just you have lack of knowledge and are unaware that you might not be using your car seat to its full capacity to keep your child safe. That was me, and here's my true confessions about tethers. I had so I think if you're like me, you open that seatbelt box and you're like, I got to get this into the car so I can get the kids in the car and we got to go to the next thing. And then you just toss that manual over your shoulder. You don't even look at it because you figure, I got this. I can figure it out. I mean, how hard can it be to put a seat in the car? I know it's got to be buckled into the car, and then I need to buckle my child into the seat. Well, there's also a tether. And I'm looking at this part and I'm holding it and I'm like, I don't even know, why is this attached to the seat? I just figured, I don't know. And there's a little tag on it and I didn't really understand what I was seeing. And so I never used it. And what it is, there's a mechanism built into cars that accommodate this piece. And it's an added safety measure to keep your car seat secure. Yet I just took it off the seat and put it away because it was in a drawer. I didn't know what it was for. And so knowing that, I know that I know better now. And now that I know better, I can do better. And that's what I want to do by being that car seat technician. I want to help others to know better so that they can also do better.
Yeah, it's really nice to have Christy as a car seat technician because we now are able to hit all age demographics in our roadway safety program. And obviously, we are hitting all but right now, but we still are trying to find ways to grow our program to provide more resources for the community members in our 5 county area. And so that's kind of all our program does. We do a lot. We have fun informing people about making safe choices because obviously our end goal is to reduce fatalities to zero, and we still have a ways to go to get there. And to kind of wrap up today's podcast, I just want to ask you, Christy, a few questions. The first one is, what has been your biggest moment in our roadway safety program? Kind of what has been like someone's light bulb came on and you were super proud that you were able to do that, or a story that someone shared with you to that really hit home.
I think that as you do this, you have more than one story that you could tell for an answer to a question like that. But for me, as an overall thing, I just I really enjoy the fact that the kids really do engage, and they seem to be appreciative of what you're sharing with them, even if they get a little goofy sometimes, or whatever. And I love it when you get them to a point where they want to share their own stories and get them talking about the things that have impacted them. And so that's the key to, I think, making the biggest change. And it's really my favorite thing, that whenever I started to come in after the first two, they're like, "Oh, the driver lady's coming today," and so they were excited, and they knew that they were going to get to do a fun activity, and they were going to learn something that they could apply to their driving skills, and they were happy to see me, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, it's really fun to go into those schools and kind of chat with them and really make sure that they're staying safe on the roads. My second question for you is one that obviously you and me shared with Stanbury High School. We This year we started sharing with the students what our why is, and I feel like it just really shows the students that we do care about them and that we're here to make sure that they're staying safe and keeping others safe on the roads. So, Christy, what is your why?
I'm here doing this job, this sharing of this information for everyone. I think that everyone here, you are important. You listeners, you who aren't listening yet, that maybe we've met you in the schools. All of the people that are affected by driving every day, those are the why, but that's the overarching why. But the personal why that really just brings things home for me personally is just a car crash that my daughter was involved in 3 years ago, that and it was caused by a distracted driver. And basically, she was at a stop sign. A large truck, who was the distracted driver, rear-ended her, smashed her back end completely to where there was no trunk even available anymore in that car, then push that car, and it's this little Versa, this little compact car, push that, what was left of the car and her, into the intersection, and another truck came by, not able to stop quickly enough because of what had just happened. Reaction, took off the front. And I just, in the end of all of the pictures and all of the reports, was happy that only the car died that day. It could have easily been my daughter. And I know that there are parents that have experienced that loss. We've seen the stories, we've heard the accounts. And that close call was enough for me to keep pressing on, to keep doing everything I can to help teens and adults and everybody around them be safe while driving.
Thank you for sharing that, Christy. It really hits home with those stories. Well, that is all for today's podcast. And Christy, I just want to say a huge thank you for joining me today. And thank you to all of our listeners that are tuning in right now. And if you haven't already, please follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. We have a lot of fun TikToks that we post with current trends that we um, input roadway safety topics with. And so those are really fun to listen to.
And if you want to see that video of Peyton on that seatbelt convincer, comment slow-mo, and we will get that up here for you.
Oh boy. Lastly, be sure to keep an eye out for next month's podcast where we will have a special guest with us to talk about seatbelts. So, thank you all and see you next time.